Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. Evelyn stood by the mirror, spraying the same perfume she wore on our wedding night. The scent hit me before I saw her. Sharp, nostalgic, and deliberate. She wasn't dressed for a casual get-together. Black dress, heels, hair pinned like she was going somewhere that mattered. I set down the bowl of popcorn I'd made for our movie night. "You said we'd watch that documentary tonight," I reminded her. She didn't look up. "Donald's having a little reunion," she said. "Old friends, nothing serious. You'll survive one night without me. Donald Pierce, her ex, the one who used to call at odd hours until I asked him to stop." I kept my voice even. "You really think that's a good idea?" Evelyn rolled her eyes. "Peter, please. It's just people from college. Don't start." "I'm not starting," I said quietly. "I just don't like the idea of you going there alone. Especially after—" She cut me off with a dry laugh. "You're being dramatic again. It's a party, not a trap." I wanted to say more, but there was no point. She grabbed her clutch, checked her phone, and headed toward the door. Then, without looking back, she said, "Don't wait up." The door clicked shut behind her, leaving the living room too quiet. I sat down, pretending to scroll through channels, listening for the sound of her car leaving the driveway. It was strange how fast a house could stop feeling like home. I didn't text her, didn't call, I just watched the clock. Midnight came and went. Then 1, then 2. Somewhere between 2 and 3, I told myself I wouldn't bring it up when she came back. Not yet. If she wanted silence, I'd give her. And that was the night everything quietly started to break. She came home at 3:42 a.m. The garage door hummed, a car door shut softly, and then footsteps on the tile. Evelyn slipped in, kicked off her heels, and muttered something like "long night." She smelled like someone else's cologne. She didn't say a word to me, just turned her back and fell asleep. I didn't ask where she'd been. I didn't want to hear another easy lie. Instead, I went still. Cold, polite stillness. I said nothing the next morning, not even when she asked if I wanted coffee. She looked relieved, like silence was forgiveness. For the next few days, I gave her exactly that. No questions, no arguments, just distance. I still made breakfast, still went to work, but there was no warmth left in the space between us. Evelyn filled it with noise, music, phone calls, laughter too loud for an empty house. By Wednesday, she started acting nervous. She'd glance at me mid-conversation like she was waiting for an explosion that never came. One night, I caught her deleting messages from her phone while pretending to scroll through photos. Thursday morning, I found a crumpled receipt on the kitchen counter. A bar tab. 2 drinks, 1 appetizer, time-stamped 12:57 a.m. The address was downtown, in a neighborhood she'd once said she didn't like going to. I searched the place online. Donald's firm had hosted a launch party there that same night. That evening, over dinner, I asked, "How was the reunion?" She looked up from her plate, fork halfway to her mouth. "Fine," she said. "A little boring, actually." "Why?" "Just wondering if Donald's still in real estate," I said. She smiled tightly. "I didn't even talk to him." I nodded. "Makes sense." Her eyes flickered just for a second, then dropped to her plate. She changed the subject, talking about a new client at work. I let her. She thought I'd moved on. What she didn't know was that my silence wasn't surrender. It was the beginning of something else. By Saturday, the silence had become routine. I answered when needed, calm, level. I didn't give her the reaction she was waiting for. That evening, while checking my work emails, a message popped up on my phone from an unknown number. She wasn't alone that night. Check Mayfield. No name, no follow-up, just that. I stared at the screen until it dimmed. I didn't reply. Whoever sent it knew more than they should, and the one detail they gave, Mayfield, didn't mean anything to me at first. Later that night, while Evelyn was in the shower, I searched the name online. Mayfield turned out to be a short street near the east side of town, filled with lofts and boutique offices. I scrolled further, and there it was, Donald Pierce Consulting, based on Mayfield Avenue. A photo from their company's social feed stopped me cold. A shot from the reunion she'd gone to. Evelyn, blurry in the background, holding a drink, laughing at something just outside the frame. She hadn't even been careful. The next morning, she was cheerful again. "Thinking of doing dinner with some old friends Thursday," she said. "You okay with that?" I took a sip of coffee, Kept my tone light. Sure, where? She hesitated. Probably somewhere downtown. I'll let you know. Mayfield? I asked casually. Her hand froze mid-stir. Then she smiled. No. God, why there? I shrugged. Just asking. She laughed, a little too hard, and changed the topic to her coworker's engagement. I let it slide. The silence between us wasn't heavy anymore. It was useful. Every quiet nod, every calm look gave her a little more confidence that I believed her. That night, when she went to bed, I checked her purse on the counter. Inside was a folded sheet of paper, part of a lease agreement. The address? 121 Mayfield Avenue. Her name was signed neatly at the bottom. Her maiden name. I sat there staring at it, feeling something colder than anger settle in. The message was right. She wasn't alone that night. And Mayfield was just the beginning. The next morning, I acted like nothing had happened. Evelyn was relaxed again, maybe even smug. She kissed my cheek lightly before leaving for work, the first time in weeks. As soon as her car turned the corner, I pulled out the lease again. 121 Mayfield Avenue, a small apartment complex across town, rented for 6 months. Under occupation, she'd written consultant. Under emergency contact, she'd listed Donald Pierce. That told me everything I needed. That evening, Evelyn was in the kitchen making dinner. She looked up, cheerful. Good day? Pretty normal, I said. How about you? Busy. New clients are a nightmare. She chuckled, pouring sauce into a pan. Why? I pulled a folded paper from my pocket and placed it on the counter. You left this in your tote. Her face drained for half a second before she forced a laugh. Oh, that? It's for a friend. Madison needed help setting up a workspace near her company, so I signed as a reference. Totally forgot it was in there. I nodded slowly. Makes sense. She gave a quick smile, grabbed the paper, and tucked it into a drawer. You always think I'm hiding something. I didn't answer. I just started setting the table. She hummed while cooking, pretending to move on, but her hands shook when she poured the pasta. I watched, memorizing every detail. Later that night, when she fell asleep, I checked her car's GPS history. The last 5 destinations, all near Mayfield. Her world was moving there, one quiet lie at a time, and I was done pretending not to see it. Tuesday morning, Evelyn mentioned she had an early client meeting and wouldn't be home until late. I nodded, pretending to scroll through emails. 10 minutes later, I grabbed my keys and followed. She drove across town, straight to Mayfield Avenue. I stopped away, engine off, and waited. She stepped out, checked her phone, and looked around like someone expecting company. Then Donald appeared from the building's entrance. They didn't speak at first. He just placed his hand on her shoulder, and she leaned in like she'd been doing it for months. They walked inside together. I stayed in the car for almost an hour, watching the building's glass doors reflect nothing but passing cars. When they finally came out, it was noon. She looked lighter, smiling in a way I hadn't seen in years. Donald carried a box, maybe decorations or dishes. He placed it in her trunk, kissed her quickly, and walked away. I took a photo. Not because I needed proof, I already knew, but because I wanted to remember how calm I felt at that moment. No shouting, no trembling hands, just clarity. That evening she came home humming, like she always did after lying. You hungry? She asked. I can order something. Sure, I said. Whatever you're having. She paused, waiting for a tone that didn't come. You okay? I nodded. Yeah, just tired. She relaxed, thinking she was safe again. I helped her carry the takeout to the table, smiled when she talked about work, and even laughed once. But in my head, I was counting. Every lie, every place, every look. After dinner, she scrolled through her phone while I washed dishes. I could see her reflection in the window, thumb moving fast, face lit by the screen. Probably him. A week ago, I was angry. Now I was something else entirely, focused. Silence had turned from punishment to power, and I still had more to learn before using it. Over the next few days, I stopped trying to be noticed. No good morning kisses, no questions, no small talk, just civility. That kind of quiet eats at people more than shouting ever could. Evelyn started filling the silence with noise, talking about sales calls, new clients, and a coworker's birthday. None of it mattered. She laughed too loudly, smiled too quickly, and touched my arm when she didn't need to. Guilt made her generous, but it also made her sloppy. On Thursday, she went to yoga. I checked our shared tablet. Her messages were synced to the cloud. A few clicks, and there it was, a chain of conversations between her and Donald, stretching back months. Photos, inside jokes, hotel receipts. One message from her, dated the night of his party. "You make me feel alive again." He barely notices me. I stared at the screen until my eyes blurred. There wasn't anything left to guess. Then, at the bottom of the thread, a new message appeared from a different number. "You're using him. I warned you this would blow up." No name. Just that. I traced the number through a quick search. It belonged to Laura Grant, one of Donald's business partners. I found her office number, called. "Laura Grant speaking." "Hi," I said evenly. "This is Peter Collins, Evelyn's husband." A long pause. "I figured you'd find out eventually," she said. "I'm sorry." "How long?" "Since before you think," she replied. "Donald's always been reckless, but Laura stopped herself. "Look, she's been playing both sides, using you for security, him for escape." He caught on. "It ended recently." "Ended?" "She's a wreck," Laura said quietly. "He told her he's done. She's been drinking at work, crying in the hallway. You didn't hear that from me." When I hung up, I didn't feel victorious. Just emptiness. That night, Evelyn came home late, eyes red, perfume faded. She poured herself a glass of wine and said, almost whispering, "Rough day." I just nodded. She looked at me for a long time as if searching for the man she'd taken for granted. But I wasn't there anymore. I had already started planning my exit. The next morning I called a lawyer. His name was Thomas Green, calm voice and efficient manner. I told him everything, quietly, factually. No drama, just details. He listened, asked for the proof, and when I emailed the screenshots, he said, "You've got more than enough. File under infidelity and fraud. Let's do this clean." By afternoon, the papers were ready. Evelyn didn't notice the change. She moved around the house like a ghost pretending to be alive. I could tell she was unraveling. The calls with Donald had stopped, her phone rarely left the table, and she'd begun spending long minutes staring at nothing. That evening, while she reheated leftovers, I set the printed divorce documents on the counter. "What's that?" she asked. "Divorce papers," I said, pouring myself water. "I've already filed." She turned slowly, her eyes wide. "You're not serious." "I'm done, Evelyn." Her lip trembled. "Peter, please." "It was a mistake." "I don't need explanations," I said calmly. "You've already said enough in your messages." She stepped closer, shaking. "He means nothing now." I ended it. "I swear. We can fix this." I almost laughed, not from humor but disbelief. "You ended it because he ended you. I'm just finishing what you started." She broke down then. Tears, apologies, 1,000 promises that came too late. "I lost everything," she whispered. "No," I said quietly. "You gave it away." For a long time, neither of us spoke. She tried to grab my hand, but I pulled back gently. The room felt smaller than ever. "I'll stay at my sister's," she said finally, wiping her face. "Just until this settles." I nodded. "Take what you need." That night, I slept better than I had in months. The silence that used to suffocate me now felt clean, sharp, deserved. By the end of the week, she'd moved out. No shouting, no scenes. When the house went quiet again, it didn't feel empty. It felt like mine. 3 months passed before the divorce was finalized. The process was quick. Evelyn didn't contest a thing. Maybe guilt made her cooperative, or maybe she just wanted it over. Either way, it ended without a fight. I heard about her through mutual friends. She'd quit her job a few weeks after moving out. Word was she tried to reach Donald again, but he'd already left town. Someone mentioned she looked pale, thinner, always distracted, a shell of herself. One evening she called. The screen lit up with her name, but I let it ring. A minute later, a text appeared. "I'm sorry. For everything." I stared at it for a while, then deleted it. No anger, no satisfaction, just quiet. Some nights, I'd replay that last conversation in my head. The way she cried, the way she said she lost everything. Maybe she was right. But what she never understood was that I wasn't her loss. I was her consequence. I drove past Mayfield once, months later. The apartment building looked the same. I didn't stop. I didn't need to. Life after Evelyn was smaller, but it was honest. I went back to things I'd forgotten. Early runs, dinners that didn't end in arguments, music I actually liked. People at work said I seemed lighter. I guess they were right. One Sunday morning, I sat on the balcony with coffee in hand. I thought about that night she left for the party, how she'd turned and said, "Don't wait up." She was right. I didn't. I waited long enough to see the truth. And when I finally stopped waiting, I found peace. Because sometimes silence doesn't mean defeat. Sometimes it's freedom. Thank you for watching.